In my opinion, if you were to ask local Durango residents what their list of the top coveted subdivisions in Durango is, Shenandoah, the subdivision that we're in right now, would make the top of that list or make near the top of that list for most people. This is a really, really cool subdivision and I'm excited to show it to you. So like I said, we're in Shenandoah. So there's three parts of Shenandoah. There's Shenandoah Estates, Highlands, and then Shenandoah Peaks. And I'm gonna take you through these subdivisions. They're all very similar. So all the facts, all the things I tell you about them are just going to encompass all of those. So we're going to start with just telling you a little bit about what they're like. So about 2 to 10 acre lots here. And as you can see around me, some of it kind of ranges from this heavily forested section of Shenandoah to a lot more open, a lot more views, and it just varies. It's kind of rolling hills throughout, but fairly flat. What I really like about this subdivision is you're getting a good amount of acreage, or a reasonable amount of acreage, and fairly flat, usable land. You know, you can set up a volleyball net, or you can just play and just use the area, whereas a lot of land throughout Durango, you can't do that. So it's 3 miles of curving roads, just kind of winding roads throughout. Like I said, just really ranges in topography and how it feels. There's parts where you get really, really stunning views. You're gonna see tons of birds, deer, squirrels, raccoons. You're gonna see a lot of deer throughout here. You'll see the occasional bear, so keep that in mind. You might see mountain lions in here. Regarding elevation, we are just about 800 feet higher than in town Durango. You're just at about 7,300 feet here. So with that comes a lot more snow. What's nice is these roads are paved, as you can see behind me. So that really helps. The HOA does take care of road maintenance and snow removal. So that's gonna be really significant. Keep in mind, a lot of these driveways are quite a bit longer. So like I mentioned in a lot of my videos, with that comes either paying somebody to snowplow or get an ATV, put a plow on the end, and that's usually kind of the go-to way to do it. And just something when you're deciding if this subdivision is right for you, that should be high on your list of, am I okay with doing that, or do I want a subdivision where the driveways are a lot shorter? There are a few homes in here where the driveways aren't that long, but you know, with 2 to 10 acres, you're getting longer driveways. So homes really range in size here, 1440 to 6418 square feet. Highest home sold in here was 2.5 million, and they are on Lake Durango Water Authority, so central water, and then it is septic, propane, and then you've got La Plata Electric out here as well. Again, the reason why, let's just kind of talk about a few reasons why I think this is a really coveted subdivision. First, I'll say, when my parents were looking at moving out here, they were looking at a lot out here and were really leaning towards moving here. To get into a little bit more nuance, the reasons why they didn't is, my dad really likes to mountain bike, road bike, just do a lot of outdoor activities, and this is a great subdivision for that because you're close to town, but it's a little bit trickier road into town, fairly curvy road. So for road biking, he felt like it was maybe a little bit more dangerous than some other areas, you know, maybe being in town or closer to town or closer to Three Springs, which is where they're living now, where he can go to Three Springs and mountain bike right there, versus here you've got to either drive or you're road biking in Wildcat Canyon, where it's just a lot more turns, sharper turns, just maybe a little bit more risky as far as road biking. So just to kind of get into the nuance regarding just going for a walk in a neighborhood, that's something I try to bring up a lot, is this is a phenomenal neighborhood for that, because you have 3+ miles worth of roads here, and as you can see behind me, no cars coming, you know, very quiet, peaceful subdivision. And you do hear a little bit of the road. I can hear Wildcat Canyon from here, but it's just a little hum, right? I can barely hear it at all, because you're fairly, depending on where the house is, of course, but you're fairly backed up as you get into the subdivision here. Talk a little bit more about it. You do have some mountain views depending on where the homes are sitting. The homes where I'm at right now don't have any views, but it just depends on where the home is at. Horses are allowed. I believe you're allowed to have 2, and then you're not allowed to fence your entire property. Again, some of these nuances, I always want to say, reach out to me, give me a call, text, email. Like I've said before, I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango, Colorado, as well as Southwest Colorado and New Mexico. Love to to help you guys. You know, as much as I love shooting these videos, I'd love to help you guys with all your real estate needs. So please reach out while I'm discussing those HOA items. What I'd love to do is get you all those documents, and happy to go through those documents for you and answer any specific questions you have on this subdivision or any others. Also want to mention, more than happy to get the drone in the air, shoot a property tour or neighborhood tour with the drone, as well as a walkthrough with my camera for you guys, personalize it for you, open up cabinets, open up doors, really show you what the home's like, especially if you're not living here already. Snow, just want to hit on snow again. You are getting quite a bit more here than in town. Spoke to Durango weather guy. He's kind of our local Durango, weather guy. And he mentioned, you're looking at basically 50% to 100% more snow here than in town. So in town is getting on average 65 inches a year, or in a winter. It's quite a bit more. It is. You might have a foot sitting on the ground here in the spring, whereas it's completely melted in town. So it is definitely significant. All right, let's talk distance to things. I want to caveat this by saying the numbers that I bring up are, of course, depending on where the home is that we're pulling on the map. So it's plus or minus a couple of minutes, but about 12 minutes to downtown Durango, about 28 minutes to the airport, and 15 minutes to Durango High School, and about 13 minutes to City Market. Natural Grocers is another great grocery store that we shop at, and then Nature's Oasis is kind of like an equivalent to Whole Foods, and they're another, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes away roughly from downtown. Then Purgatory Ski Resort is 43 minutes away, roughly 43 minutes away. Fishing is about 12 minutes to the Animas River, and then about 9 minutes to Lake Nighthorse. All right, now I just want to recap Shenandoah. So what I love about this subdivision is there are great views from a decent amount of these homes. You're really kind of spread out. You're not right next to your neighbors, which I think is really important to a lot of people. You definitely feel like you're in Colorado. You have that mountain feel, this mountain air. You are higher elevation, so you're going to get quite a bit more snow. So with having that feel of being in Colorado, having that feel of having these pine trees around you, a lot more nature, deer walking through your backyard, you're going to get that snow. You do have paved roads. So what I find is out this direction, just in general, a lot of these subdivisions that have this mountain feel, have a lot more natural environment. You are not generally having paved roads, so it's really nice to have paved roads here. Now I'm actually gonna go take you over to another part of Shenandoah and show you a few properties that are really cool. So I just drove up the road about 200-300 yards, turned off this road, and now we're in Shenandoah Estates and Highlands. And you can see it's so much different over here than where we're just at. So the topography just really changes, and you've got a pond right behind you, as you can see, another pond right over there. These are private ponds. And then up the road, you can kind of see behind me, and I'll show you some footage, but it just kind of starts turning into rolling hills over there. There's another home with a private pond over there as well. They've got some great views of the mountains and just the ridges across from me here. And so I love how just the diversity of this subdivision. So if you don't want to be in the pines or you don't want to be flat, just still keep this subdivision on your list, because a home could pop up and come on the market that maybe fits exactly what you like out here. Maybe you get one with that closer to that 10-acre range or closer to the 2, and you don't have to take care of as much land. So it just really varies out here. You're still close to town. You're within that 15-minute range of town. That really the biggest con is you're getting more snow. If you really want a ton of acreage, or you don't want to really plow much snow, maybe take it off your list. Or if you want to be definitely in the Animas Valley, there's definitely clients of mine that just call and I only want to be there because it's so green and lush and you've got those ridges around you. Or I have a lot of clients that either just really want to be in town Durango, want to be able to bike, just hop on their bike and be on the Animas River Trail. So obviously if that's you, this subdivision wouldn't work. I don't think it's a real easy, unless you're, an avid road biker, I don't think it's a great road to get into town just because it's so twisty and turny. Just a lot of kind of sharper turns. Just to touch on that element again, like I was saying, why my dad and parents didn't buy in Shenandoah, that was kind of the tipping point, I think, for them. And then they just liked some other subdivisions that just were a lot closer to biking and hiking compared to here. But you're still, within 15 minutes of downtown Durango to all those different trails. Now we are in Rafter J. So to describe this subdivision a little bit, if you're really looking for a subdivision that's fairly forested, you really feel like you're in Colorado, and yet you're still only 10 minutes to downtown Durango, and you're looking for a subdivision that's really quiet. You don't have that busy street. You're not close to Highway 550 or Highway 160. This might be the subdivision for you. You might want to put this one on the short list. So I'm going to get into a little bit more more details, of course, tell you a little bit more pros and cons, but that kind of covers it in a nutshell in the sense of, really forested. And if you've seen any of my videos on Edgemont, the Edgemont subdivisions, very similar distance to town, but they are east of town, and they're much smaller lots than here. I would say it's a very good comparison, but the biggest difference is smaller lots. What is similar about these two subdivisions is they're at a very similar elevation. So here we are at 7349 feet elevation. Of course, it varies because throughout the subdivision, rolling hills, it kind of climbs in elevation throughout. So, you are getting quite a bit more snow here. So last year in the spring, of course, we did get quite a bit more snow last year than average winters, but they had 2 feet of snow in the spring where in town had none. So just to compare, you're getting, again, 50 to 100% more snow here in Rafter J than in town Durango, even though you're only 10 minutes away. So it is a really cool subdivision in that sense. Your HOA isn't super strict. I mean, they're still going to have the typical things you have with an HOA, but they do let you have chickens. We have some really good friends that live here and have chickens. As you can see behind me, paved roads, which is somewhat uncommon when you kind of get out west of downtown Durango or just away from the city. So having these paved roads is awesome. HOA dues are $1,000 annually, so nothing too crazy. The main thing it includes is road maintenance, and then views. You definitely get some stunning views of the mountains in Rafter J. Just depends on where the home is situated, but you are getting some awesome views. Where I'm walking right now, I'm seeing some great views. Where I was parked, I can see some awesome views almost all the way into town from here. So the views are awesome, just depends on the property itself. All right, then question I get a lot is, can you hear any road noise? Like I mentioned earlier, really no, not at all. There are definitely a couple homes near the entrance of Rafter J where you do get some road noise, but as a whole, you're really not going to hear much road noise. All right, now you're only 10 to 11 minutes to Lake Nighthorse, and then about 10 minutes to the Animas River, which is, right on the Animas River Trail. So to get into hiking and biking, you're 10 minutes to the Animas River Trail, like I just mentioned. For biking, hiking, walking, you can park at the Doubletree Hotel, and then right across the street is actually the dog park, and then right there is the Animas River Trail as well. And then there's several other awesome biking, hiking trail systems. So you've got the Ned Overend Bike Park, as well as Horse Gulch. Those are on kind of opposite parts of in-town Durango, but they're both about, let's just say about 13 to 14 minutes, depending on weather conditions, the roads, etc. About 13 to 14 minutes away from Rafter J. However, keep in mind, we pretty much back up to National Forest here in Rafter J. So you've got some phenomenal access to 14ers, to just a lot of different trail systems right here. And so I definitely recommend going to the hiking project. There's several other good apps. All Trails is another good one. Go there, look at where the subdivision is at on the map, and then just look at what's close by. So many different trail systems close by, but I just want to hit on some of the most popular ones first in this video for you guys. And then of course, guys, let me know if you have any specific questions. I'm happy to elaborate, hop on a call with you, and just discuss and answer your questions, as well as go over any specific questions regarding, what does the HOA cover, things like that that might pertain more to your particular situation or what you're looking for. All right, now let's get into a little bit more details about the homes themselves. So the highest home price sold was $2.1 million, and home sizes really range in here, 744 square feet all the way up to 5,156 square feet. It's a really big range. I would, again, like I say in some other subdivisions, say that most are kind of in that 2,000 to 3,000 square foot range. Lot sizes 1.8 acres up to 15.4. Most are in that 3 to 6 acre range. And then we're going to talk about a couple other subdivisions in a minute that are actually kind of inside of Rafter J. King Mountain is one of those. And so a lot of the information that I'm saying is obviously going to be really similar, especially in regards to location, distance to hiking, distance to biking, stuff like that. I'll mention that later as well. Utilities. So you're on Lake Durango Water Authority, so it's central water. Then it's going to be septic systems, propane, and then you are hooked up to La Plata Electric out here. Again, I just want to mention you are on a paved road, which is really phenomenal for being out here. If you love to road bike or just, want to be on a paved road, you've got that out here, whereas most subdivisions are on dirt out here. So again, I know I said that already, but keep in mind that is a big differentiating factor compared to a lot of other subdivisions. I think that's that's really what I wanted to point out. Now I want to talk a little bit more about roads. So to get into this subdivision, you're going to go on County Road 141, which is also known as Wildcat Canyon. And it is really a canyon. So you don't get as much sunlight on that road. So there will be more ice, there will be more snow, and that is something to take into consideration when you're considering this area. If you're buying during the summer or the fall when it's not, icy and snowy, it's tough to really compare, but just keep that in mind. If you're really concerned about that, just keep that in mind. Put that on your list. Once you get out here, again, you are at higher elevation, so just compare to areas like the Animas Valley or south of Durango, it's going to differ quite a bit regarding the amount of snow that you get out here. To touch on that a little bit further, just wanted to discuss how the homes are situated here. Like I mentioned, you're really ranged between that 2 and 15 acre range. So a lot of these homes are tucked back in the trees. You do get quite a bit of privacy, but if you really want flat land, you're not getting much of that here. Maybe a couple homes, maybe 5-10 homes have relatively flat land, but it's really these kind of rolling hills, just fairly hilly like you see behind me here. And so just wanted to point that out. I think a lot of people expect, hey, when I'm getting 6 to 10 acres, if you're coming from somewhere where it's a lot flatter, you're expecting to just get flat usable land you can ride your ATVs on. Just a lot trickier out here. Some other things I wanted to mention was just you're getting a lot of these pine trees, evergreens, scrub oak. You're seeing deer running through your backyard. You're seeing elk. You will have the occasional bear or mountain lion. A lot of people are on the Nextdoor app, so you will see people posting pictures like that. I wouldn't be too worried about it, but you don't want if you have a chicken coop, you want to make sure that's completely enclosed. You just want to keep some of those things in mind regarding that. Now, this is a pretty big subdivision, so there's 165 homes in this subdivision. I know compared to a lot of subdivisions, that's fairly small, but for Durango, that's pretty big. And then the mail is delivered to community mailboxes and parcel boxes, which are located at the subdivision entrance. And then the 9R school district for this area is Fort Lewis Elementary, Escalante Middle School, and Durango High School. So keep in mind there are some other options than just those. I am working, if it's not released when I release this video, most likely won't be, I'm working on a video all about the schools. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video, that way you're notified when I release that video, or feel free to text me and I'm happy to text you the link specifically for you. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, we've got some really good friends that live here in Rafter J. And so what I did is I text my buddy and asked him, what are some of the pros and cons from your opinion? I've got my own opinion. I know the subdivision pretty well, but of course it's nothing like hearing from somebody that actually lives here. So I'm going to list off a few of those items, or actually list off the whole thing. So he was first saying a pro and a con is you're 10 minutes from town. If you want to be right in town, you're not. So it's a pro and a con for sure, just depending on how you look at it. Very quick drive to trails and parks is what he said. Very quiet at night, just like I was mentioning. I mean, you're just hearing the wind kind of blowing through the trees. It really is that Colorado experience that a lot of people call me saying I really want. A lot of clients of mine are moving from Texas, Arizona, other states, the East Coast, the West Coast. They're really wanting that Colorado feel. I think that really hits the nail on the head here. Really gives you that Colorado feel. What's awesome about it is you're not just in the pines, which is amazing, but you also get some great views and you get some good sunlight here. Just to elaborate on that a little bit, compared to somewhere like Edgemont, where I feel like you're kind of tucked in the trees, you sometimes don't get as much sun in your house. Here, I think you do. You can kind of see the house over my shoulder. I don't know if you can see that house, but they're perched up a little bit. And a lot of these houses they do a good job of clearing the trees around them. Just think overall, you're getting a lot more sun and just a lot more views as a whole. The next thing he just said was healthy ponderosa pine environment, just meaning these ponderosa pines behind me, just healthy trees in general. La Plata Mountains are within view and quickly accessed via Hesperus. So just up the road, you can get right into the La Plata Mountains into some phenomenal hiking, like I was touching on earlier. So he did mention regarding temperatures, I didn't hit on this earlier, it is colder in the winter for sure, but it's also cooler in the summer, which is just phenomenal. I mean, it's already an amazing environment. In Durango, you're in the mid 80s most of the time, but here you're between 5 and even 10 degrees cooler some of the time in the summer. Usually those nights are dipping down a little bit more, but even during the day, it's just about perfect here. Then some of the cons, he said varying economic status. You will have a really nice, $2 million home, and then, half a mile down the road, you'll have some manufactured homes. So it just depends, you know, you really want to look at the house, make sure you drive around, and I am more than happy to do that for you if you find a home that you like. You know, happy to drive the roads, give you kind of a tour like you see in these videos here, as well as a drone tour. So just want to throw that out. If you didn't hear before, I'm a licensed realtor here in Southwest Colorado. Would love to help you with all your real estate needs. So please reach out if you're even considering moving here. Then the next con, he said, was just, you know, slightly longer drive to Purgatory Ski Resort. So we're about 43 to 45 minutes, of course, again, depending on road conditions, so it could be longer. Somebody asked me the other day, does the traffic get really bad when we get a really good snow day on the way to Purgatory? I really don't think so. I mean, sure, it slows down a little, but they were comparing it to the drive to areas like Breckenridge, areas that are closer to Denver, where it's just 2-3 hours longer. You're just sitting on the road waiting to get into those resorts. Definitely nothing like that here. Obviously, the road conditions can affect you a little bit, but we definitely don't get crazy traffic trying to get up to Purgatory. So those are most of the pros and cons. One other pro that he did say was really friendly neighbors of all ages, new families with kids, as well as retirees. So big range of kids and families and older people, younger people, a really good range of, you know, just age groups in this subdivision. So those are some of, you know, really the pros and cons that I can think of. Again, if you're looking for something in particular, let me know. I'm happy to discuss the specifics with you on this subdivision regarding what you're looking for here. Now we're going to head over to King Mountain. Like I mentioned, they're actually right in the middle of Rafter J. So a lot of the area specifics are going to be very similar. All right, now we're in King Mountain Estates. So very few differences from King Mountain Estates to Rafter J, as King Mountain Estates is pretty much inside of Rafter J, but let's hit on a few of those. So I really feel like driving through here, just seeing a lot of these properties, having shown some of these, they do have probably or arguably better views of some of these mountain ranges, some of these ridges. You can almost see into town from some of these homes. So keep that in mind. A little bit better views. You're just higher elevation than Rafter J. You just kind of climb up into this area. One of the cons is some of these very long driveways. I mean, here's maybe a 150-yard driveway, give or take. Pretty long driveways, and some of them are I shouldn't say steep, but relatively graded. A little bit of an incline on these driveways, which can definitely be frustrating in the winter. Again, Rafter J, as well as King Mountain Estates, you definitely are going to need to either have an ATV or be paying to get those driveways plowed. So a few other things, just kind of to hit on some reasons that I really love this subdivision. Again, you've got these paved roads, as you see behind me here. You're near public land, close to Lake Nighthorse, only 10 minutes from Durango. And then you've got, you know, really good value for your money. Being a little further out, little hillier, if you will, on the west side, it's not going to be as expensive as the Animas Valley over here. All right, then lot sizes in here are 3 to 6 acres. Highest home sold in here is 1.645 million, and home sizes are ranging from 1,020 square feet up to 5,045 square feet. So still fairly similar. Like I mentioned earlier, you are in Lake Durango Water Authority. You are on Central Water. A few of these homes are on wells, so just keep that in mind, just kind of case by case. And you are allowed to have horses in here as well as chickens. So pretty awesome to be able to have horses in a subdivision like this that's really pretty well built up. Now we're going to head over to Trappers Crossing, where some of these homes actually have views of Lake Nighthorse, which is really rare. Very few homes actually have views of Lake Nighthorse. Let's head over there now. All right, now we're at Trappers Crossing. So we're just a mile past Shenandoah or so. As you can tell, the topography really changes in here. A lot more pinon, juniper trees. Feels maybe a little bit more deserty, if you will, to just kind of generalize. But what's really, really cool about this subdivision is you've got some phenomenal views, and I mean crazy views. So there's some homes that actually climb up that ridge a little bit, are on that ridge and look out at Lake Nighthorse. And then some of those homes up that way actually look west towards Cortez at Sleeping Ute Mountain. So they have views 75 to 80 miles away, and then some of those look north out towards Purgatory at Needles Mountain as well. So the views in this area are just next to none, and there are very few homes that actually have views of Lake Nighthorse. So the homes in this subdivision, just several of those have views of Lake Nighthorse. Again, to kind of touch on the topography, it is different. If you don't like this more, let's call it New Mexico feel, if you will, trail, just a little bit more deserty, less pine trees, a little bit more open feel, then this might not be the subdivision for you. But keep in mind, you're also just getting these kind of rolling hills in here, a lot more space in between your neighbors, good amount of privacy. So I do really like this subdivision for that reason, as well as what I just touched on, those views. The highest home sold in here was 2.7 million. Home sizes really range in here from 2,007 square feet all the way up to 7,279 square feet. Lot sizes are 10 acres up to 35 acres. So really big range. Most are a little bit closer to that 10-acre range. All right, then utilities, you are on central water and septic, and then propane, and then you are on La Plata electric as well. Now elevation here is going to be pretty similar, about 73.45, about 800 feet higher than in town, just like at the other subdivisions we're looking at. So pretty similar to the others we're looking at today. Again, you're getting that 50 to 100% more snow than in town Durango. It really just varies based on the storm itself. Regarding having chickens, having livestock, most of that is allowed, of course, with some restrictions. So again, reach out to me. I can get you those covenants and answer your specific questions on this subdivision. If you like the topography, you like what you're seeing, and you like this area. Now you're 17 minutes to in-town Durango here, so just a little further out, you're still within that 20-minute bubble. 31 minutes to the airport, 20 minutes to Durango High School, and 17 minutes to City Market. Another minute or so to Natural Grocers, and 5 to 7 minutes to Nature's Oasis, the other couple grocery stores we've got. Keep in mind those distances are approximate, give or take a couple minutes, depending on if it's winter, if you've got ice on the road, and depending on which home we're pulling from here. Now, although some of these homes are bordering right on Lake Nighthorse and looking out at Lake Nighthorse, you're actually about a 13-minute drive to Lake Nighthorse. Unfortunately, there's not access right from this subdivision. So that is one negative. Definitely keep that in mind, because you probably wouldn't know that if you weren't looking at the map and the distance to Lake Nighthorse. And then about 16 minutes to the Animas River for fishing. Same distance to the Animas River Trail for biking, walking on that awesome river trail that's about 9 miles. All right, so just to recap Trappers Crossing, and a few things I didn't touch on. You're really not hearing much road noise. I'm here in the morning and I'm just not hearing much road noise at all. This road, there's just not a lot of traffic on Wildcat Canyon. There's still gonna be a little bit, it still exists. You're not perfectly peaceful and quiet here, but it's pretty darn quiet out here. Regarding water rights, you're not gonna really have many water rights here, or not any, I should say. But what is nice is you are in central water, so you're not having to deal with a well. You are in septic. Again, just wanna kind of hit on pros and cons. You are in septic, so that might be a con to you if you really don't wanna be on septic. The views out here are pretty phenomenal, but it does vary based on the home itself. You do have homes higher up on those ridges, like I was saying. The negative with that is the incline of that road up there in the winter specifically. So keep that in mind if you're up for dealing with that snow. And of course, it's always case by case. Don't eliminate it just because of that, because we want to look at the steepness of the road. I can get the drone in the air, show you the steepness of those driveways, and you can kind of judge from there. So really one of the big cons of this subdivision is going to be those views and just having that space. You know, you're going to have a good amount of privacy in this subdivision. Maybe the con, if you will, is just this topography. If you really want to feel like you're in Colorado, have a lot of pine trees specifically around you, you're not going to have that. A lot more pinon trees like you'll see more in New Mexico, and just other little bit more desert climates. We're now at the peaks. So this subdivision is a really small subdivision, but one you definitely don't want to overlook. It's a gated subdivision, paved roads, only a few homes in here. This is only 12 minutes to downtown Durango, approximately 12 minutes to downtown Durango. I'm using the DoubleTree Hotel as a reference point. That's right before you get to downtown Durango. And it's just up the road, or I should say down the road from Shenandoah, and closer to town than Shenandoah. So a few things I love about this subdivision: it actually backs up to Bureau of Reclamation lands, and that means you're bordering on Lake Nighthorse. So some homes back up to Lake Nighthorse, and you can actually walk down to Lake Nighthorse from these homes, which is kind of unheard of. There's not many homes where you can do that. And then the north side backs up to Trappers Crossing, just so you're aware of where we're at. Horses are allowed in this subdivision, and you do get some phenomenal views from this subdivision. It's kind of insane, the types of views that you get from this subdivision. So that's why I say you definitely don't want to overlook this one, although there aren't very many homes. So, you know, you might have one home every year come on the market, if that at all. So some details on this subdivision. The highest home sold here, 1.445 million. Then the home sizes are pretty big. They average right about 3398 square feet, and lot sizes are between 9 and 10 acres in here. So good size lot sizes. You've got a lot of breathing room. You really do feel like you're in Colorado here because you've got these pine trees, ponderosa pines and Gamble oak in here. Really cool subdivision for that reason. Again, you are close to the road, or somewhat close to the road, so you're gonna hear the traffic a little bit. Again, I wouldn't cross it off the list unless you're just like, I don't want to hear any traffic no matter what, because the trees kind of block that, and it's just depending on where the home is at, how it's situated, etc. So keep those things in mind for sure. Then these homes are on Central Water, Lake Durango Water Authority, septic, propane, and then La Plata Electric for electricity. Then the elevation is 7244 feet. So again, you're gonna get quite a bit more snow up here. Again, like I'm saying throughout the video, about 50 to 100% more snow than in town. But again, paved roads, fairly smaller driveways, but you are gonna have bigger driveways than in most smaller subdivisions. So HOA is $1,500 annually. It's gonna cover snow removal and road maintenance. And then, you've got those mountain views again. Just wanna touch on that again, just to kind of recap this subdivision and say that's probably one of the best features of this subdivision. Just those really incredible views, and then that it backs up to Lake Nighthorse. So you're also really close to Lake Nighthorse just as far as access goes. And then you're pretty spread out from your neighbors, so a lot of privacy, good sized lots. All right, then access to things. I mentioned 12 minutes to town, about 26 minutes to La Plata County Airport, about 15 minutes to Durango High School, and about 12 minutes to City Market, about another minute or so to Natural Grocers, and about another 5 to 7 minutes to Nature's Oasis here. Tons of trails in town. You're fairly close to Twin Buttes trail system, awesome trail system there as well. About 41 minutes to Purgatory Ski Resort, 12 minutes to the Animas River, which you've also got the Animas River Trail right there, of course, for walking and biking. And then about 9 minutes to Lake Nighthorse. Of course, I mentioned some of these homes back up to Lake Nighthorse, so you could walk down there. For those that don't back up to it, or if you want to drive over there and bring all your stuff, about a 9-minute drive. As weird as that is, you got to drive around to the actual entrance, so you can't just drive in from this subdivision. Guys, I really like this subdivision. Again, I just kind of mentioned, I kind of already went over this, but the cons, if you will, are going to be the road. You are still close to a fairly busy road, and that's going to kind of be the big one. If you want smaller lot sizes, that's going to be the con too. These 9 to 10 acre lots, pretty big lots. But I really feel like the maintenance on the lots is fairly low. It's not like you're mowing 10 acres. So bear that in mind. Then let me know if you would like covenants, restrictions, if you'd like all those documents, happy to email those over to you. I'll turn around here, show you mailboxes right behind me. So you've got locked mailboxes, and then show you the road right behind me here. And you were able to see that gate right behind me too, right here. All right, we are back at Shenandoah, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick recap. So let's start with Shenandoah. So let's talk on maybe just a couple pros and cons of all these subdivisions. So Shenandoah, you're in that 15-17 minute range of downtown Durango. So all these subdivisions, just to kind of recap on all of them, all these subdivisions are really within 20 minutes of downtown Durango, depending on where the home is situated, but really within 20 minutes. Most of these homes are on paved roads. There's a few subdivisions that partially aren't on paved roads, like Trappers Crossing. Just the back part of that is dirt roads, but it's fairly flat. There are some homes that are on a steeper grade because they're getting those incredible views in Trappers Crossing in particular. Rafter J does have some dirt roads for sure. Some of it is paved as well, so kind of split. Showing a client a property, a home in Rafter J, and one of those roads, there's two ways to get to that particular home. One of those roads is fairly rutted out, but I imagine they're going to be grading that soon. So keep in mind, most of them are paved. Most of these homes are on some acreage, or at least a third of an acre or more. A lot of these homes, maybe the majority in all the subdivisions, are over 5 acres and close to 10. So that's phenomenal as far as acreage. If you don't want acreage, most of these might not make sense for you. Let's see, Rafter J, let's jump over to Rafter J. A lot of it's fairly forested, but a lot of it does have some views, and some of them have phenomenal views, just depending on where the home is situated, but most of it's fairly forested. They are getting probably the most snow out of anywhere in this tour today. Then Rafter J say you're still having, you know, just varies throughout, but you're still having some of those driveways that are a little bit steeper, a little bit longer throughout. Most of these subdivisions, you're getting a little bit longer driveways. So just taking into account, do I want that ATV, snow plow, maybe pay someone to plow my roads in the winter? You're just getting a lot more snow up this direction. Shenandoah really varies in topography. You know, like right behind me, you're getting homes with some of these incredible ponds on them. Then some of them are more forested and some of them open up like this home behind me. So across the board, you know, you're getting fairly similar throughout these different subdivisions. Trappers Crossing really differs because it's got a lot more pinon trees and less ponderosa pines, less of that feel that you're really in Colorado, but it's got stunning views that kind of makes up for it. Good sized lots, 9 to 10 acres. So across the board, you've really got, most of these homes are on some good acreage, a lot of privacy. And let me know if you have any specific questions on these. Happy to get you covenants, walk the property, get the drone in the air, really give you a nice tour. Like I said before, I'm a licensed realtor here in Southwest Colorado as well as New Mexico. As much as I love shooting these videos, would love to help you even more with all of your real estate needs here in Southwest Colorado and or New Mexico. So give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys later. See ya.